Hi, my name is Brian Chakotko. This is my technical communication portfolio. The purpose of the first portfolio is to showcase my academic development in the technical communication degree field. There are 4 technical communication learning outcomes: rhetorical knowledge, critical thinking, reading and writing, processes, and knowledge of conventions. This is a list of the artifacts that I will use to fulfill the learning outcomes in this portfolio. Rhetorical knowledge and critical reading, thinking, and writing were the outcomes that will be addressed first. They will be identified by their abbreviations and the associated number for each part of the outcomes. Some artifacts will fulfill multiple outcomes. In each artifact, I will highlight the main ones that will be fulfilled. This project was a fundraiser for a nonprofit organization called PeaceFrame. PeaceFrame needed the class's help in informing an audience and also persuading them to support their cause. To this end, I designed a brochure to advertise them and also to explain their goals. I had to outline and draft a plan of action that would be realistic within their needs of the organization and within their budgets, and then apply that to a particular time and context. This project was particularly interesting in the fact that it had a connection to the real world beyond just the classroom. The PeaceFrame organization would choose one of our projects and then use it to raise funds. I found this to be incredibly gratifying, an essential part in my learning of technical communications role in the real world. For this assignment, I wrote a technical instruction manual on the Sony e-reader device for an audience new to the technology. In creating this manual, I had to set out to explain the purpose of it, the materials that would be needed, and also how to operate the device. An important aspect of this was making the language and overall tone, steps, all these different aspects, making them useful and practical to the reader so that they would be able to quickly grasp the essence of technology they were using and would be able to refer to the manual when they had questions or needed specific answers. I learned that information's role in communicating is a very important one, and it works in a variety of ways, and it is important to be aware and to use the responsibility of communicating information carefully and also in a way that is appropriate to the audience. This artifact was a reflection piece on a variety of writing assignments I had undertaken in a class that dealt with online creation tools. A good example of this is writing assignments I did with a partner through Google Docs. We were able to create these different informational documentation using the interactive software and coordinating our times, and this project allowed us to reflect on that and see what worked, what didn't, and how we could improve. I was struck as we used Google Documents at how useful it was in creating an environment where technical writers and editors can work together and supplement each other and help each other reach a common goal. This artifact was connected to a class that dealt with creating visual communication through various different styles and formats. For this one, I had to create a logo that would advertise a location, and this location would have to be conveyed through the colors, through the format, through all the styles and elements that would make up a drawing. In this, I had to learn how to use advanced tools and learn that communication goes beyond just words. It's the overall design, themes, and connecting that to the audience's expectations and what they will be able to understand. And in the end, I reflected on it and tried to understand how these tools help me achieve my goal. This assignment was a screencast presentation of a technical writing assignment I had done that I felt communicated what I felt was most important in technical communication. And to do this, I used one of the artifacts that I discussed in my portfolio, my English 301 user manual. When I did this, I had to show how each step I went through led me to discover a better connection to the material I was talking about, to my audience, and I had to distill this into a video that would communicate all these things and do it in a way that would explain to my professor how I arrived at my completed version and how I believed I could possibly improve upon it. This next section will cover the process outcomes and the knowledge of conventions outcomes. Please pause to review these sections if needed. This artifact dealt with creating an instructional guide to assembling an appliance. This was a very basic design that required the juxtaposition of images and text to create a flow that established with the audience what was being conveyed through the different steps and ideas. The main takeaway I got from this project was developing a writing strategy prior to drafting the instructions. I also had to test it myself to see if it would work, to see if my instructions would have the desired effect by reading and applying my own guide. And I also went through peer-reviewed drafts with the help of my classmates to help flesh it out and understand how my instructions would be perceived by an audience. This was a rewrite of a formal type memo that was not designed well, and we had to adjust the grammar and the spelling, the word choice, to make it make more sense and to adjust the tone to make it more appropriate to what the information was trying to convey. It was a fairly straightforward project that mostly focused on developing our editing skills and putting into context some of the lessons we learned in our textbook, such as the importance of editing with the audience and the purpose of the documentation firmly in mind. This artifact was a report on a website I created with a partner, and I had to explain whether it had worked and how it conveyed its subject. And that subject for this one I chose to be technical communication, and I used the WordPress.com website to create it. As well, in this project I also worked in a collaboration environment with a partner to get the ideas down, to get the documentation ready, and then apply it to the site. It was this constant back and forth and editing and oversight and checking to see if the project would work, and ultimately to apply that to the website itself and then test it thoroughly and then see if it succeeded or not. This artifact dealt with creating software documentation on a topic that would be of use to the audience, and the software documentation in this case was task-oriented, meaning it was very, very practical. It was based on images that would be linked with the different steps, and then this would help the reader to go through them and then to solve and finish a task at the end based on based on the steps that have led them there. It went through multiple peer reviews and revisions and required a balancing of different design choices and elements to create a satisfying product that was visually intuitive and straightforward. This artifact was based on a project that dealt with explaining and analyzing a particular topic that has to do with intellectual property. In this case, my topic was international copyright. This is a very broad topic, and so I addressed its history, the definition of it, and its modern relevance to technical communicators. To do this project, I had to go through much research based on authoritative sources and learn how copyright and intellectual property is important to writers and technical communicators. And I thought this was a good class to supplement, to complete a writing perspective, to understand how laws and legal policy affect how writers interact with their work and interact with others, and that there is an ethical responsibility on the part of technical communicators to convey their information and to cite their sources. In this artifact, we helped classmates with reviewing their proposal project documents. In this, we were able to apply a questionnaire that would address the different parts of the proposal, whether or not they were succeeding in fulfilling the main goal of the proposal, which is to persuade the audience to agree with their ideas. We also used the tools such as the comment sections in Microsoft Word to review specific parts we thought needed improvement and what else we believed that could be adjusted to make the overall proposal work and for each of the sections to come together into a uniform and persuasive document. Technical communication to me has been a very interesting degree that has helped me come to terms with growing as an individual and learning how the writing landscape works in the very wide, broad possible aspects that it encompasses. I have concurrent degrees actually with literature writing and film and technical communication. I took some of the literature writing and film courses in Polytechnic campus and was able to see what the campus was like there. And for the technical communication, I mostly took online classes. This was an interesting process where I learned how these different environments had different effect on the environment and how I learned, but ultimately showed me the importance of getting a wider perspective of things. As I was writing this portfolio, I reflected on technical communication and what it meant to me. And what it meant to me was that it is an important way to writers to engage themselves in the modern environment and to use the tools that are available to them to reach audiences and connect with people. My professional goals and the growth I have achieved over the course of the years in college at Arizona State University has been a result of the resources I have been able to obtain and have enjoyed at the campus and online. And I would like to thank ASU for providing me the opportunity to take these courses to learn to develop as not just a student but also as a citizen. And that is what I think is really important, is college teaches you to enjoy learning and to enjoy developing as an individual. Thank you. This is the conclusion of my technical communication portfolio.